Carl Jung once declared, "He who gazes outward fantasizes. He who gazes inward comes alive." Yet he omitted the heavy toll of that reawakening. This chronicle is the account of a man who gazed so profoundly into the human spirit that it almost shattered him. In doing so, he unearthed a fundamental truth that most of us dedicate our existence to ignoring. To comprehend Jung's most ominous revelation, one must traverse the shadows alongside him, descending into the chasm, right down to the fundamental roots of the mind, into the shared unseen. But first, it is essential to grasp the reality he was attempting to flee. Carl Gustav Jung was far more than a mere psychiatrist. He was the designated successor to Freud's intellectual empire, a meteoric talent in the emerging field of psychoanalysis, a treasured prodigy in the estimation of the scientific community. However, an inner restlessness persisted within him. Freud maintained that all psychological strife could be traced back to suppressed sexual urges, but Jung perceived something far more primeval, something residing even beneath the personal subconscious, a force that was archetypal. He began to discern recurring motifs in his patients' nocturnal visions, images of ancient deities, emblems from forgotten civilizations, hallucinations drawn from myths they had never encountered. These were not haphazard, they were perennial and universal. It was as though a communal stratum of memory was embedded within the human psyche, originating not from the individual's history, but from the chronicle of our species. Jung designated this the collective unconscious. This concept would become his heresy, and like all dissenters, he would be expelled. Following his separation from Freud, Jung embarked upon what he termed his confrontation with the subconscious. For a period of years, he teetered on the brink of insanity. He dreamt of seas of gore, deluges submerging metropolises, and divinities with incandescent eyes. He journaled using crimson and sable ink. He sketched complex mandalas during moments of hopelessness. He heard utterances that were not his own. "Am I losing my sanity?" he contemplated. "Or am I waking up to a genuine reality?" This was not a psychotic episode. It was a deliberate plunge, a purposeful act of immersing himself in the unconscious to discover its contents. And what he found was not just individual wounds, it was an ancient framework, a mythological tapestry of motifs and primordial models, omnipresent thinking templates that have existed in every society, throughout every era. He encountered the shadow, the rejected, disowned aspect of the self. He met the anima and animus, the internal female and male principles. He crossed paths with the deceiver, the venerable sage, the matriarch and the champion, not as metaphors, but as psychological facts deeply ingrained in the human mind. He realized that our fantasies, legends, and faiths all draw from the same concealed reservoir. That reservoir is the collective unconscious. What precisely is the collective unconscious? Picture the psyche as an immense ocean. Your conscious thoughts are merely the surface, the region illuminated by the sun. Beneath that resides your personal unconscious, the recollections, injuries, and yearnings you have misplaced or repressed. But even deeper, at a profoundness almost unreachable, lies the collective unconscious, a stratum of the soul you did not fashion, but inherited, an ancestral heritage of humankind. You have never encountered a serpentine beast, yet you dread it. You have never conversed with a wise old mentor, yet he materializes in your slumber when you are perplexed. You may not recall the ancient narratives, but your spirit seemingly does. The collective unconscious elucidates why we acknowledge tales we have never been told, why symbols influence us before we can articulate their meaning, why a spiral figure, a slithering creature, or a cross symbol can instill reveration or dread without logical cause. We are not as isolated as we presume. Your mind is not solely your property. It is the continuation of every consciousness that preceded you.
To access these hidden personas, Jung turned to nocturnal visions. Unlike Freud, who regarded dreams as desire fulfillment, Jung believed they were messages from the unconscious, symbols that circumvented the ego to convey cautions, counsel, and perceptions. He dedicated years to interpreting his own dreams, delineating the mandalas he beheld, analyzing the symbols that emerged. He contended that each person's dream realm communicated in the vernacular of archetypes, and that if you could master this symbolic tongue, you could commence a dialogue with your unconscious. In dreams, your spirit reveals what you refuse to heed while awake. The abandoned dwelling, the injured child, the featureless man pursuing you through the mist. These are not fantasies, they are communications. Jung once asserted, dreams are the guiding pronouncements of the soul. To neglect them is to mute your inner compass. And yet, we reside in a culture that has severed its spirit. We are trained to disregard our dreams, stifle our feelings, dull our worries, and scroll ceaselessly to escape ourselves. We examine everything but grasp nothing. We label myths as primitive. We dismiss symbols as superstition. We ignore the unconscious and then puzzle over why we perpetuate cycles of distress, both individually and as a collective. We scoff at the gods of the past, but perhaps they linger, assuming new names, haunting new technologies. Maybe the collective unconscious did not disappear. Maybe it has merely been forgotten, interred beneath the cacophony of contemporary life. And perhaps that is why we feel so vacant, disconnected, incomplete. Jung believed that to rescue ourselves, we had to revert to something more ancient than modernity, not to regress into fallacy, but to reclaim the symbolic mind. To acknowledge that your anxiety is not simply chemical, it might be the hero resisting the summons to adventure. That your melancholy is not solely biological, it might be the demise of the ego before the reformation of the soul. That your perplexity is not madness, it might be the trickster archetype jolting you from absolute certainty. In mythology, you are not defective, you are in the midst of a metamorphosis. This is why Jung saw such worth in alchemy, mythology, and organized religion, not as literal facts, but as symbolic blueprints of the unconscious. They demonstrate the landscape, they aid us in surviving the gloom, they help us to incorporate what we have overlooked. Carl Jung passed away in 1961, but his notions persist in counseling, literature, cinema, and fine art, often unrecognized, much like the very unconscious he investigated. When you view Star Wars, The Matrix, Fight Club, Inception, or Joker, you are witnessing Jungian psychology in action. These are not merely tales, they are contemporary legends reverberating timeless wisdom. Jung revealed to us that the gravest peril is not the darkness, it is feigning it does not exist. That confronting the abyss is not a plunge into insanity, but the inaugural stride toward restoration. So, where does this leave you? Ask yourself, why do particular images haunt me? Why do I replicate the same cycles? Why do I feel older than my own lifetime? The resolutions may not reside in reason or language. They may lie deeper, in the collective history embedded beneath your skin. Carl Jung once ventured into the depths and returned with a present, a looking glass, not to show you who you are, but who you could evolve into, if only you possessed the fortitude to observe. Your perception will become unclouded only when you can peer into your own core. He who gazes outward fantasizes. He who gazes inward comes alive.